Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 778, Stumbling into a Great Sage's Nest 5330 plus words. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Another long chapter. Zhou Tian's expression was grave as he spoke in a low, solemn voice. A brutal conflict is now unavoidable. The brutal conflict he referred to was, of course, a fight to the death, one that would only end with the total annihilation of the opposing side. The Chongming Bird was clearly a being of cold and calculating nature. The moment he saw his ally from the Dao-severing sect, the lesser immortal, killed, his first thought was to seize the faint traces of heavenly god blood within the body. He felt not a shred of sympathy. He had no interest in investigating what had happened before or whether the lesser immortal could be resurrected. It was evident that the Chongming Bird's group had decided to kill Qin Ming, Si Yeli, and Zhou Tian once they confirmed the trio lacked a guardian and were in a vulnerable position. Why aren't you running yet? If you scatter and flee, you have a great chance of survival. The white-robed woman from the Eternal Mist Primordial sect and the gold-robed man both wore radiant smiles, but their eyes held a chilling coldness. If the three of them split up and fled in different directions, using their top-tier teleportation talismans, they might indeed have a chance to live. You're not leaving. Do you intend to burn your bridges and fight a desperate last stand? Your courage is commendable. The white-robed woman and the gold-robed man spoke with a hint of mockery in their casual tones. Though they felt confident with an Earth Immortal overseeing the situation and controlling the field, certain to defeat the three before them, they were merely using their taunts to probe for a reaction. Beside them, the middle-aged ancestor spoke. Are you really not going to try? If you exert all your strength, anyone who can outspeed the Chongming Sacred Bird's wings or the Earth Immortal's sword light will have a chance to survive. Hearing this, the group all revealed faint smiles. Quickly take the heavenly god blood. There are indeed no seventh realm beings nearby, but if we delay any longer, complications may arise. At the edge of the horizon, the old Earth Immortal spoke. With a single step, he disturbed the wind and clouds, shrinking the ground to an inch, and appeared before them in an instant. Clad in black robes, he possessed a tall, imposing stature and a stern, rigid expression. He was wreathed in brilliant immortal radiance that cast a kaleidoscope of colors upon the surrounding night mist. The Eternal Mist Primordial sect members tensed up, entering a hunting state. With the black-robed Earth Immortal personally overseeing the battle, this was a rare opportunity for them to hone their skills. Qin Ming spoke. Don't let a single one escape. Both sides had the same intention. Since they had chosen to strike, they would naturally annihilate their opponents completely, leaving no hidden threats. This was the law of survival in the Night Mist world. If two hostile parties met in a desolate place, the result would inevitably be extremely bloody. Ha ha ha. Some of the younger cultivators laughed upon hearing this. If even an Earth Immortal was certain they could hunt safely, then those three were already like meat on a chopping block. Did they actually think they could turn the tables? However, most of the men didn't laugh. Instead, they drew their weapons with a series of metallic clangs and began to form a battle formation. The black-robed Earth Immortal's body stiffened slightly. Staring forward, he said, such extravagance. That's a 9-colored divine crystal, known for its life-extending properties, yet it was used merely to seal a single imprint. Zhou Tian opened his palm, and the crystal fully awakened, overflowing with auspicious colors as 9-colored immortal light billowed upward. Within the light appeared an ancient being, a creature with a human torso, a dragon's tail, and a turtle shell. It stood upright with its turtle head held high, the silver patterns on its shell intertwining like flowing rivers of stars. Though aged in appearance, the being was full of vigor, a senior of the law-ending turtle clan. Had his true form arrived, he would undoubtedly have been a supreme powerhouse of the seventh realm. The black-robed Earth Immortal spoke. Fellow Taoist, if I were to say this was all a misunderstanding, could we turn hostility into friendship? The old turtle slowly raised its head and said, if I were to stomp the Chongming Bird to death, flay you alive, and then tell you it was all a misunderstanding, would that be acceptable? The black-robed Earth Immortal said gloomily, that's two completely different matters. We haven't even made a move yet. The humanoid old turtle transformed into a beam of light, shooting out from the 9-colored divine crystal and condensing his spiritual body in the void. His turtle shell rose high, as if bearing the weight of the brilliant starry sky. He knew all too well that if he held back, the Eternal Mist Primordial sect might temporarily retreat, but they would soon call for reinforcements. After all, according to the information provided by the golden-haired Saint Sun, there were 4 great Earth Immortals nearby. The black-robed Earth Immortal sighed. It seems we truly have no choice. He turned his head and said, he is merely an imprint. I will try to wear down the old turtle. You will have to handle this side yourselves. The Chongming Bird spread its wings, its four radiant divine glow illuminating the area. Its expression was solemn yet remained utterly confident. The smiles vanished from the others' faces as they all tightened their grips on their weapons. Why aren't you laughing anymore? Si Yeli spoke, her long dress fluttering in the night wind. Her figure was graceful, and her immortal beauty transcended the mortal world, yet behind her loomed the domineering spectacle of a dragon and tiger standing side by side. The heavenly dragon coiled in the 9 heavens, while the white tiger crouched in the void, one in motion, one still, fully embodying the extraordinary Taoist concept of yin-yang complementarity and the dragon-tiger harmony. Boom! The battle of the earth immortals erupted. The law-ending Mo-Fa turtle launched the first strike, his attack fierce and violent. He unleashed a fist technique of supreme, regal might, a fist of kings, its brilliant radiance illuminating both heaven and earth. The black-robed earth immortal dared not meet the attack head-on. He avoided its sharp edge, engaging in a skirmishing battle. Under the night sky, the fist's radiance was incomparably vast, like a humanoid dragon turtle bearing the heavens on its back, rotating one great star after another above the 9 heavens to suppress its opponent. The two great experts soared into the sky, disappearing into the azure firmament and distancing themselves from the battlefield. Kill! Yun Guanya roared, spreading his wings and swooping down on Qin-Ming. In an instant, gale winds howled, and 5-colored divine lightning crashed down. He had taken the form of the Chongming Bird, a sacred bird naturally endowed with bloodline divine abilities. His opening move was an endless barrage of falling thunder, accompanied by rolling tribulation chi. Late stage of the 6th realm. Qin-Ming immediately gauged his opponent's strength. This villain was at least in the 7th heaven of the Ancestor realm. No wonder he was so arrogant, he was a veteran great sage. Qin-Ming pointed a finger at the void, activating the primordial myriad thunder seal to counter the 5-colored divine lightning with immortal thunder. Under the night sky, space distorted, and the deafening roar of a terrifying explosion erupted. The middle-aged ancestor of the eternal mist primordial sect moved silently, melding into the night mist as he launched a stealth attack on Qin-Ming. He, too, was in the late Ancestor realm. This was the fundamental reason for their group's unwavering confidence. They were the elite of the eternal mist primordial sect's direct lineage and one of the main forces in this earth realm. The purple chi surged, shaking the 9 heavens. The yellow canopy umbrella descended from the night sky, slowly rotating as the tassels on its rim trailed brilliant starlight. Xuanhuan herself materialized in a captivating form, stepping through the night sky. Your opponent is me, she declared. With a languid grace, she directly blocked the middle-aged ancestor, a late-stage expert. An exotic treasure that could actively engage an enemy without its master channeling spiritual power into it was an extraordinary rarity. The middle-aged ancestor's heart chilled. What a treasure! Let me see your extraordinary power. The middle-aged ancestor pointed a finger, sending a glowing divine chain through the void to lock onto Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan stepped forward elegantly. Above her head, the yellow canopy umbrella spun, its surface sweeping across the sky. Purple chi and starlight surged, instantly shattering the chain. Then, the great umbrella descended, sweeping down toward the middle-aged ancestor. 10,000 silk ribbons fell like pouring laws or a rushing river of stars, asserting its dominance from the very start, intending to suppress him. Qin-Ming watched from the side and praised, Xuanhuan, not bad. You've finally come of age, stopped relying on your parents, and can hunt on your own now. Xuanhuan curled her lip. Don't you know who I am? It's just that you arrogant fool, have been overshadowing my true brilliance all this time. She had every right to say such words, after all, she was a being who had once entered the deepest reaches of the night mist world. It was a pity, however, that she had lost those memories. On the battlefield, the middle-aged ancestor turned pale with horror. This is bad. This awakened malevolent artifact is terrifying. Its domain actually contains images of immortals falling. He was warning everyone that, if possible, he needed powerful reinforcements to join forces and attack the yellow canopy umbrella. Tens of thousands of silken tassels drooped from the umbrella's canopy, each weighing 100 million jun. Every single tassel felt like a great mountain, pressing down until the middle-aged ancestor's bones creaked and groaned. With a boom, he activated a mystical technique, transforming his body into nothingness to narrowly escape. But the moment he reappeared, he coughed up a mouthful of blood and was sent flying, crashing into a massive peak that stood above the clouds. The mountain shattered instantly into powder. There was no scene of chaotic boulders raining down, only a tidal wave of debris cascaded toward the ground. Zhou Tian exclaimed in amazement, it's one thing for sixth brother to be so fierce, but even his spiritual treasures are this monstrous. Isn't this just putting too much pressure on his brothers? He turned to the white-robed woman and said, what did you just say to us? Mocking us for needing to flee. You have commendable courage. I didn't quite catch that. Would you mind repeating it? With that, he lashed out with a palm strike. Bang! The exotic treasure she had summoned shattered instantly. The white-robed woman herself coughed up blood from all 7 orifices as the remaining force of Zhou Tian's palm strike sent her flying. Gah! Before she could even steady herself, she spat out another mouthful of blood. Zhou Tian remarked, not a bad treasure. It actually managed to withstand a single strike from me. The white-robed woman's face was deathly pale. As a grandmaster who had cultivated for over a century, she was on the verge of breaking through to the Ancestral Realm and was a direct disciple of the Eternal Mist Primordial sect. Yet, she had been severely wounded and her origin damaged in the very first exchange. The gold-robed man intervened, blocking Zhou Tian's path. Do you feel a sense of achievement in bullying the young with your superior status? He launched a direct attack, his 10 fingers splayed. The void trembled as a dense mist billowed out, forming an abyss-like domain designed to seal his opponent within. Zhou Tian retorted, I'm in the prime of my youth, yet you accuse me of bullying a century-old senior. At the same time, silver patterns intertwined across his skin, allowing him to divine the flow of battle. He carved a path through the abyssal void, following a safe route to strike through the opposition. Zhou Tian unleashed a ferocious palm strike, declaring, a first heaven ancestor realm dares to block me. Back when I was still in the late Grandmaster realm, I already dared to fight against your kind. The man in the golden robe spat blood as he was sent tumbling through the air, the corners of his eyes split open, and tears of blood streamed down. Zhou Tian stood with one hand behind his back, looking utterly composed. A great sage. The white-robed woman's face paled with shock. Have we stumbled into a nest of great sages? In the distance, great sage Xuanhuan, a late-stage ancestor realm cultivator, had been blocked even while attacking the young man in the form of the Chongming Bird. And now, both he and the gold-robed man had been severely injured by a freakishly powerful, seemingly young man. Boom. Zhou Tian directly unleashed his ultimate technique, the law-ending fist. He drained all the spiritual matter and Tao resonance from his surroundings, locking down the void before throwing a punch at the gold-robed man, who had nowhere left to dodge. I'll give it everything. The gold-robed man resonated his form and spirit. A Tao flower bloomed within his divine soul as the numerous order runes engraved in his physical body lit up simultaneously, ready for a life and death struggle. Crack. The flower bud blooming in his spiritual domain burst open. Then, his body was pierced through, blood gushing out as he was torn asunder. Is that all? Zhou Tian stood proudly, his left hand clasped behind his back. Ever since meeting Qin Ming, he had begun to question his own existence. Am I still a great sage? Today, after a simple move, his confidence had completely returned. Sigh, for so many years, I've fought alongside my sworn brothers in high-stakes battles. The truth is, I really am incredibly strong. Zhou Tian turned around. This time, he unleashed the majestic intent of his king's fist. With a thunderous boom, he struck the pale-faced woman in white, causing her body to disintegrate instantly. Zhou Tian stands here, who dares challenge me? He swept his gaze across the battlefield. After making his move, he felt completely relaxed. This kind of overwhelming dominance was truly befitting his status. Yeli curled her lip, feeling that old Fourth Zhou was getting a bit carried away. It was utterly ridiculous. She also made her move, taking down one enemy with each finger. A mortal light shot out, and 6 or 7 people instantly collapsed backward, unable to even utter a single groan of pain. Even an elite main force could not have more than a few founding ancestors presiding over it. For Yeli, a 5th realm cultivator was merely a target for a single flick of her finger. Ah! The middle-aged ancestor shrieked in agony. Just as he was being severely wounded by Xuanhuan, he watched in horror as his most prized disciple was struck down by Yeli's casual flick. Consumed by grief and rage, he struggled to his feet and unleashed a forbidden technique. It was a curse-killing technique. Night mist billowed as invisible runes flared to life, surging directly toward Yeli. The middle-aged ancestor knew he couldn't pierce the yellow canopy umbrella, so he sought to expand the battlefield and inflict casualties on others. His technique's domain was partially shattered by the yellow canopy umbrella, but the rest still surged outward. In an instant, the area around Yeli erupted with a dragon's roar to the 9 heavens, the white tiger's roar, the vermilion bird soaring across the sky, and the black tortoise rising from the northern darkness. The vision was staggering. She had used the 4 spirits convergence attack heavenly technique to block the middle-aged ancestor's curse-killing technique. What? You're also a great sage. The middle-aged ancestor's eyes glazed over as his heart sank. What kind of luck do we have to walk straight into a nest of great sages? Sorry, I was distracted just now, Xuanhuan said apologetically, flashing a charming smile at Yeli. Ah! The middle-aged ancestor's composure shattered. What kind of freaks were these? He had to thank this absent-minded malevolent weapon for giving him a moment to catch his breath. Xuanhuan swayed her graceful figure, holding the yellow canopy umbrella like a young maiden strolling through the rain in the Zhongyan water towns. "I'll deal with him immediately," she said. Purple chi flooded the sky, overwhelming everything ahead. Stars intertwined, transforming into a barrage of sword and blade light that slashed into the dense mist. A moment later, the middle-aged ancestor's wretched screams echoed from within. After a few breaths, the area fell completely silent. Xuanhuan, still holding the emperor's umbrella, stepped out from the void with delicate, lotus-like strides. "Sixth brother, can you even handle this? We've already dealt with our opponents," Zhou Tian gloated. In the night sky, only Chongming and the Chongming Bird remained locked in battle. As for the two Earth immortals, they had long since vanished into the depths of the firmament. Occasionally, a flash of order light would erupt, tearing through the heavens. Soon, however, Zhou Tian fell silent, his expression turning grave. The Chongming Bird's strength was beyond imagination, it was a late Ancestral Realm cultivator. Si Yeli also focused on the battle, ready to intervene at any moment. Great Sage Guanya of the Eternal Mist Primordial sect executed a top-tier mystical technique with every strike. At this very moment, he was unleashing the secret technique, Primordial Mist Dao Dissolution. A mysterious, dense mist billowed forth, capable of dissolving all manner of techniques. It could extinguish Samadhi divine fire, still the gale wind that could disperse pure yang consciousness, and weaken thunder. This was one of the core secret techniques of the Eternal Mist Primordial sect. Once unleashed, it spread like ink in clear water, diluting the opponent's techniques and completely blurring the ordered laws to neutralize their power. It was said that this primordial mist was obtained by the sect's founder, an ancient supreme powerhouse, from the deepest reaches of the night mist world, and later evolved into a powerful supernatural ability. Chongming summoned the heart-subduing bell, intending to shake the opponent's divine soul. However, as the primordial mist Dao dissolving technique took effect, the runes on the bell's surface immediately dimmed, eroded by the mysterious mist, and failed to exert their full power. Faced with this situation, Chongming took a simple and brutal approach. He broke the technique with sheer force. In an instant, he unleashed the cry of the ancestor insect, shattering the primordial mist and sweeping across the battlefield. Next, the 10-colored sacred sword demonic essence surged forth, its dense sword lights piercing the void. Then, black and white light intertwined as his spiritual domain expanded. He broke the technique with raw power, all of it being a top-tier ultimate technique. The primordial mist dissipated, revealing the Chongming Bird's true form beneath the abyss-like night sky, as 5-colored feathers drifted down. A 5-colored chicken. Chongming's remark caused Guanya's killing intent to skyrocket. Chongming could hardly be blamed, however, the Chongming Bird's appearance matched ancient records exactly, resembling a colorful rooster with double pupils. Guanya unfurled his wings, and a dense mist once again enveloped the area. This time, it wasn't to disrupt his opponent's technique, but purely to conceal his own chi aura. He seemed to vanish from heaven and earth, the mysterious mist blocking all attempts to locate him. Silently, from within the mist, chains of order shot toward Chongming, weaving into a net that sealed off the night sky. Chongming swung his blade, severing the divine chains of order with a series of metallic clangs. He then released his spiritual domain, distorting the void to immobilize all the divine chains. With a sudden surge of power, he tore them all asunder with a thunderous crash. Black and white chi flowed around his body as he performed the yin-yang reversal technique, tracing his opponent's position in reverse. A green lamp hovered above Chongming's shoulder. Within its wick, a scripture flipped rapidly, transforming into flames that radiated the light of myriad techniques, suppressing the traced opponent. The green lamp ignited the Dao fire, fusing all techniques. The runes it projected were terrifying, a truly lethal technique. A muffled groan echoed from deep within the mist, like a massive bird of prey falling and then exploding. The primordial golden bridge materialized beneath Chongming's feet as he swiftly pursued his foe. In the void, a charred fragment remained. This was the mysterious mist escape technique. Guanya had infused the primordial mist with Dao resonance to condense a false body, a tangible mist cocoon, to take the blow in his stead. His true body, meanwhile, had been swapped out and now hung high in the night sky. Not bad, Chongming remarked. In truth, he acknowledged that this opponent was formidable. The mere fact that Guanya had been able to engage him in a blood battle for so long was testament enough. Guanya's eyes glinted with a dark, brooding intensity, his avian face contorted in displeasure. From his instincts alone, he had deduced that his opponent was relatively young, with a cultivation likely at the mid-ancestor realm. Yet, this youth was holding his own against a renowned great sage like himself. He was deeply dissatisfied. In his view, he should be effortlessly suppressing such a newcomer. Even in battles between equals, he rarely met a worthy opponent. Such a grueling, deadlocked battle implied that his opponent was actually managing to turn the tide against him. Treading on the primordial golden bridge, Chongming closed the distance in an instant, appearing before his opponent. In a blood battle, passive defense was never his choice. He always favored the initiative. He brandished the Green Lotus secret technique, unleashing a barrage of pre-stored mystical techniques in rapid succession. In an instant, the Chongming Bird shrieked incessantly. Even as it once again employed the mysterious mist escape technique, the successive waves of spell domains still crashed against its physical body. Within the mysterious mist, blood-stained feathers withered and fell. It was wounded. Young Guanya's face was grim as stone, his opponent had drawn blood, and he was determined to exact a price 10 times greater in return. He seemed to be chanting a secret incantation, his consciousness articulating the words with lightning-fast speed as he cast the technique. Simultaneously, his wings moved in a coordinated sequence, as if forming seals to empower the secret technique. Eternal night descends, all laws perish. It had to be said that young Guanya's mastery was truly heaven-defying. He successfully unleashed the Dao lineage's fundamental secret technique, directly erasing all extraordinary traces from this void. Even Chongming felt a chill run down his spine. He sensed an invisible suppression manifesting, threatening to extinguish all laws. Just then, the Chongming Bird swooped down. This was a legendary species known as the sacred bird. Its physical body was naturally incomparably powerful, far surpassing any other creature. Now, it had annihilated all laws, relying solely on its raw physical might to crush its opponent. After all, its colossal size alone granted it an absolute advantage. In the night sky, it looked as if a five-colored great mountain were descending, extending its razor-sharp talons to tear Chongming asunder. Hiss! Chongming's expression turned grim. His externalized Dao imprints and mysterious substance were all suppressed into his flesh, able to extend no more than 3 feet from his body. Fortunately, he could still rely on this to suspend himself in the night sky. Otherwise, he would have plummeted directly to the earth. The inability to traverse the air would have instantly triggered a psychological trauma for Chongming. The harrowing experience of falling from the sky years ago remained unforgettable to him. Of course, with his current powerful physique, even if he crashed into the ground, it wouldn't have caused any serious harm. Clang! Chongming fused Primordial 1 Qi with the 10 sacred demonic essences to manifest a 3-foot-long blade and slashed toward the colossal beast looming in the depths of the night sky. Amidst the deafening clang, Chongming's blade clashed with the Chongming Bird's razor-sharp talons, sending sparks flying everywhere. Young Guanya was alarmed. He had already done his utmost to restrict his opponent's technique domain to the greatest extent, yet he still hadn't managed to suppress the man into a mere mortal body. The opponent could still withstand his pressure. In truth, even if Chongming couldn't extend his mysterious substance beyond 3 feet, he could still handle this situation by relying on the body refinement harmonizing with the Dao scripture he had cultivated for years, engaging in the purest form of physical combat. In the night sky, amidst blood rain and falling feathers, young Guanya transformed directly into human form, no longer using his massive body to suppress his opponent. His body was too large and would have been an easy target for the blade. Clang! Young Guanya drew a dazzling longblade, its mere presence enough to seize the heart. At that moment, even Chongming felt his heart leap with apprehension, his eyes narrowing. You're truly willing to throw it all away, aren't you? That Chongming Bird isn't your true body, but it's close enough, isn't it? He recognized the material of the longblade at a glance, silver steel. Among the exotic metals, there was a blood-colored Vajra ring made from this very material. Furthermore, legend had it that the supreme treasure of the Tushita Palace, that bright silver Vajra ring, was also primarily forged from silver steel. Clang! Chongming drew his own exotic metal blade, as white and translucent as mud and fat jade, to counter the opponent's silver steel heavenly blade. Throughout the process, young Guanya had been continuously activating his domain. Eternal night descends, all laws perish, weakening all other techniques. The two were locked in a fierce blood battle, clashing with their blades in the night sky. For a time, the night was filled with a vast, shimmering blade light and rolling killing intent. Like two bolts of lightning, they moved through the darkness, their blades clashing relentlessly. Blood splattered into the air with every strike. Both were wounded, but Chongming's blood never flew more than 3 feet from his body. In an instant, it would be seized by the adhesive force within him and pulled back. Zhou Tian's expression darkened, his voice low as he said, "This young Guanya is truly formidable, utterly terrifying. To think he could fight sixth brother to this extent, even wounding the youngest ancestor. Truly horrifying." By the end of the battle, every single strike drew blood. With each swing of their blades, endless sword light surged, accompanied by a boiling, terrifying blade intent. Even when the exotic metal blade and silver steel blade failed to make direct contact, the invisible blade intent and the domain of the Tao relentlessly attacked their opponent, tearing through flesh and bone. Their regenerative abilities were astounding. Flesh and bone, sliced apart, would rapidly reassemble. Puff! Endless feathers erupted in the night sky. Young Guanya roared as he reverted to his true form and soared into the heavens. One of his wings was nearly severed, most of its feathers torn away, and his body was covered in a dense web of blade wounds. By the end, he clearly couldn't hold out any longer. With a sigh of helplessness, he withdrew his domain of mutual annihilation. Kill! Young Guanya roared, glancing secretly at the battle of Earth immortals in the depths of the firmament. A decisive outcome was imminent there, and he couldn't afford to delay any longer. After this final strike, regardless of the outcome, he would turn and leave. The void blurred as he condensed his strongest spiritual body. The massive Chongming Bird shrank, its five-colored divine light growing even more brilliant. Then, opposite him, another Chongming Bird appeared. To an outsider, it was now impossible to tell which of the two Chongming sacred birds was the real one and which was the fake. In fact, even young Guanya himself couldn't tell. For a fleeting moment, both bodies were identical to his true body, possessing his full cultivation. Rumble. He unleashed his technique domain and charged at his opponent. Qinming employed the 6 imperial force, and in the blink of an eye, 6 identical versions of himself materialized simultaneously. After mastering this mystical technique, he knew that these bodies had certain flaws and couldn't match the true body in combat. However, to deal with the current situation for a short time, it was enough. Instantly, 3 versions of Qinming unleashed the longevity force. Golden threads rained down, dense and relentless, stabbing toward one young Guanya. The other 3 versions of Qinming unleashed the devouring force, condensing 3 black holes to confront the other young Guanya. The great sage of the eternal mist primordial sect felt a sudden pang of insecurity. Unable to detect the flaws in these figures in time, he suffered a crushing blow. Both of his bodies were left bloodied and nearly torn apart. Finally, with a whoosh, he merged back into a single form and fled the battlefield. Young Guanya prepared to make a long-distance escape, fearing that staying any longer would spell disaster. Suddenly, a chill ran down his spine. He realized he had been locked onto as a target. Qinming's true body emerged nearby, condensing a Vajra ring in his hand as he unleashed the terrifying power of transforming barbarians into Buddhas. Simultaneously, his outer demon unleashed the same supreme mystical technique. Boom! The 2 Vajra rings twisted the night sky as they were thrown almost simultaneously. Young Guanya flapped his wings, attempting to escape the calamity of killing with his extreme speed movement technique while also activating a secret art to flee using the primordial mist. However, it was too late. The 2 Vajra rings shattered the primordial mist with unstoppable force, striking his body one after the other. Even as young Guanya unleashed his strongest technique domain and activated all the mysterious runes within his body to briefly condense an immortal golden body, he couldn't defend himself. Crack! Cracks appeared on his face, then rapidly spread across his entire body. With a thunderous boom, his body exploded into a rain of blood and bone fragments. At the same time, his powerful divine soul disintegrated, shattered by the 2 Vajra rings. The younger generation is truly formidable. You have all ended the battle, yet this old man was a half-step too slow. So, I shall end things here as well. The voice of the old turtle echoed from deep within the firmament. Everything was under his control. Qinming immediately unleashed his adhesive force, capturing the Chongming bird's blood essence. This was a sacred bird, and its blood was a high-grade blood medicine of the rarest kind. Xuanhuan swayed forward gracefully, capturing young Guanya's divine soul as it tried to flee. I've hit the jackpot. Qinming beamed. The Chongming bird's physical body alone was priceless. With a sharp clang, he used his adhesive force to seize the brilliant silver metal blade and pull it into his hand. At this moment, Qinming wanted to shout, "Are there any more opponents like this? I want more." Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.